In 1974, one word was quietly added to a food label. Nobody noticed, nobody objected. There was no law about it, no definition, no rule. And yet, within 20 years, that one word would be on almost every package in your kitchen. The word was natural. Today, it is one of the most powerful words in the entire food industry. More powerful than organic, more powerful than healthy. Products with that word on the front sell for more money. People buy more of them. People trust them more. And almost none of it means what you think it means. In nature, things are simple. An apple is an apple. A fish is a fish. Nothing is added. Nothing needs a label. But the moment food enters a factory, it becomes something else. Chemicals get added, shapes get changed, flavors get rebuilt from scratch. And then, at the very end of that process, someone reaches for a sticker that says natural. So how is that legal? The answer starts with a government agency you've probably heard of, the Food and Drug Administration. In 1974, the FDA tried to define the word natural. They failed. They tried again in 1991. They failed again. In 2015, they asked the public for help. Over 7,600 people wrote in. The FDA still didn't define it. So for 50 years, the most trusted word on a food label has had no legal meaning at all. Which means, technically, you could put it on almost anything. And companies did exactly that. A cereal made with high fructose corn syrup, labeled natural. A chip cooked in oil refined with chemical solvents, labeled natural. A soda colored with an additive made in a lab, labeled natural. None of these companies were breaking the law because there was no law to break. But here's where it gets stranger. Researchers wanted to know what natural actually does inside your brain when you read it. So they ran an experiment. They showed people two identical cookies. One had a label that said natural. The other didn't. Same cookie, same ingredients, same calories. But people rated the natural cookie as healthier, lower in calories, better for them, even though it was the exact same cookie. This is called the health halo effect. One word, and your brain quietly lowers its guard. And once your guard is down, something else happens. People didn't just trust the natural product more, they ate more of it. In one study, people eating a snack labeled natural consumed up to 28% more, without realizing it, without deciding to. One word on a package, and you eat more of it, trust it more, and feel less guilty doing it. Food companies didn't have to discover this by accident. They paid people to find it. By the early 2000s, natural had become one of the fastest-growing label claims in the entire grocery store. Faster than organic, faster than low-fat, faster than almost anything else. By 2015, products labeled natural were generating over $40 billion a year in U.S. sales. $40 billion from a word with no legal meaning. But this is still only the surface, because once a word becomes that valuable, people start fighting over it. Starting in the early 2010s, lawsuits began piling up. Consumers suing companies for using the word natural on products containing GMOs, or high fructose corn syrup, or synthetic preservatives. By one count, over 300 natural food lawsuits were filed in a single decade. Companies like PepsiCo, Kraft, and General Mills were all named. Some paid settlements, some quietly removed the word, but most kept using it because the lawsuits were cheaper than the lost sales. Let that sink in. It was financially smarter to get sued than to stop misleading you. And the FDA? They were watching all of this happen. In 2016, under pressure, they opened yet another public comment period. Over 7,000 more comments came in. And once again, no formal definition was issued. Not because it was too hard. A clear definition would have ended the word's usefulness. An undefined word can mean everything. A defined word can only mean one thing.
And one thing is much easier to regulate than everything. So the ambiguity wasn't a failure. The ambiguity was the entire point. Now, here's the part almost nobody talks about. The word natural didn't just affect what you bought. It changed what companies were willing to put inside the package. Because once natural became a selling point, companies needed ingredients that sounded natural too. So an entire industry grew around naming chemicals in ways that felt familiar.
Natural flavors is one of the most common ingredients in processed food today. But the legal definition of natural flavor is incredibly broad. It can come from a plant, or an animal, or in some cases processed in a lab using the same machines as artificial flavors. The only real difference between natural and artificial flavor can sometimes be where the starting molecule came from, not how it was made, not what it does to your body, just where it started. And you would never know that from reading the label. Because the label was never designed to tell you the truth. It was designed to tell you a story. A story about a farm, about sunlight, about something simple and good, even when the actual product came from a factory that looks nothing like that. This is the part that should bother you most. It's not that one company lied. It's that an entire system was built around a gap nobody was required to close. A government agency that wouldn't define a word, companies that profited from that silence, and a marketing industry that turned the silence into a feeling of trust, of safety, of something pure, none of which the word was ever legally required to mean. So the next time you pick up something at the store and that word catches your eye, just remember what you now know. That word was never a promise. It was never a fact. It was a gap in the law, left open on purpose. And for 50 years, you walked through that gap without ever knowing it was there. You can see the gap now. And once you see it, you get to decide what to do with that information. Not the company, not the agency, you.